everyone, I'm Vivek Atray and this is episode 6 of the Good Vibes Show. We've had some exciting guests on the show already and great vibrations, cheerfulness, good feelings for everyone who's watching and in the show as well. Today we have some very exciting guests, two very charming, dynamic, energetic ladies, both from diverse fields. Sonal Goel, IAS, and Shan, who's a speaker and dance guru. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Nice to have them here, and we are going to have a chat about their lives, their ethos, their motivational work, and of course a bit about IAS, of course. Sonal, aapse shuru karte hain. This is something which has been pending for a while. Now we are here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your early life. Kaise aap IAS mein aaye, and how you became what you became.
Sir, I would like to begin by just sharing that when I was in my graduation, so I did my schooling in Delhi. I belong to Panipat district, Haryana, but I had all my education in Delhi. My father is a chartered accountant, so Papa had set up his own practice in Delhi, Ashok Vihar. So when I was doing my graduation, it was way back in 2003, I was in the final year, and I was also doing CS at that time. I read about civil services in one of the magazines. And frankly, till that time, nobody in the family had never ever discussed about civil services. And somehow when I read about civil services, 2-3 toppers interview, I still remember I read. So it gave me a feeling, it gave me a kick that I should be here. And it would give me an opportunity, a platform to connect to the people and do something good for the society and the nation. But when I discussed this with my parents, especially my father, there were a lot of apprehensions because civil services is never a short game and lot of competition, and then after selection which service you will get, which cadre you will get, and how you will settle your family life. And more so being a female, that was more of a concern for my parents. Almost 6 to 8 months it took me to agree on that, and finally when Papa said okay, you can do, but then he also suggested that I should have a plan B in my life. So by plan B he meant that I should not be sitting at home after having so much of education, and if I don't clear civil services, then what should I be doing effectively for society. So taking his advice, I completed my graduation in 2003, I completed my CS in 2004, and in the same year I did start my LLB. I appeared for entrance at Delhi University. I qualified and I started my LLB classes. I also took part-time job as a company secretary because I felt that I should earn for myself and also to gain some experience, some practical experience in the job. And I started for my civil services preparation. So 2004 to 2007, these three things were parallel in my life. Focus was of course on civil services. I was also doing my law classes, LLB, and I was also doing my job. Right. Managing all this was not easy, but I think it was a self-determination, a commitment to my own self, and of course the support of my parents, my family, which kept on driving and motivating me. I got selected in my second attempt. In my first attempt, I appeared for mains, but I did not get an interview call. With all my strength, courage and commitment, I started my preparation again. I cleared in 2008 with All India Rank 13. And that is how I cleared civil services. I joined Mussoorie. Lavasna was the first hostel for me. It is still such a memorable experience that you also would agree that you meet so many people with diverse backgrounds, diverse qualities, and so much of for me it was a different change in my life which I had in fact never thought of. And then I joined Tripura way back in 2000.
We'll come back to Tripura.
Yeah,
but what I really admire is, of course, 13 became a lucky number for you instead of unlucky, which normally is. You worked so hard getting in, but today you've achieved a profile which is beyond the IAS.
Yes.
Your personal profile, we'll talk about that, how you're motivating the youth, how you came through the struggles, which everybody does. But very good start. Jasmeet, we're coming to you, Jas. And Jas, you are from a different background, but also again the struggles were there, and you also in your childhood you weren't sure what you want to do. Today also perhaps may not be sure, but you've achieved something and you had some early struggles, so let's talk about those.
So I see myself to be a child of sun. So I go, I experience myself, I get myself burnt, and then I make my choices. So as far as my childhood was concerned, I was a very happy-go-lucky child and always wanting to try new stuff. And that kept on continuing till date. So I think I'm not overgrowing that childish behavior towards my life, because I feel a child never has, the understanding of what would happen, but they are more interested in doing the stuff, So I think that has been a blessing in disguise for me. I always wanted to be a pilot because flying high was something very, very fascinating. So until and unless I went out and the teens started hitting into and I started arguing. So my dad said, "It's good you become a lawyer," but I didn't understand it's a sarcasm, So I thought maybe that's the next field for me, And by the time I had to go for my law, he says that's not the profession for women. Okay, so I'm not going to let you go for it. And I said I felt betrayed, because I thought I'm a natural lawyer, so it's happening. And then prominence is something as a baseline that I always saw in my life, and I wanted to be a newsreader because I wanted to go talk out and stuff. So I did my mass comm with Punjab University, got admissions at Symbiosis and all, but I never wanted to move out of home. And the reason being was I was an opportunist. I wanted to stay back home. I was happy that I was taken care of well.
Very few people will call themselves opportunist, but anyway.
Yeah,
in a positive sense.
I don't see a problem in it, because I think we have a lot of quotations when we call about selfish. What's wrong in being selfish? Go and fish for yourself, right? But don't hurt others. That's the whole idea. So that happened, and I did my mass comm, and I started doing a lot of events and stuff like that, and I saw that I love action in life, So once I was done, the fantasy of the journalism went off me, because I didn't see that going and reporting was as fascinating as what it was taught to us, And so I did my jobs in advertising. I went out and did my Genesis PR work and all of that. I tried every field in journalism to know what is best for me during my education, during my graduation. But it was no better for me. Once I moved out of my postgrad, I was equally confused. Like, I've done it all, and yet I don't know what I want in my life, And from there, I think I did 8 jobs. And then I moved out with my friend to do a social enterprise called Karma Republic, which was making T-shirts, socially active T-shirts. And we were performing very well. But then he had to move to Canada, and I realized I'm not a retail person either. So I moved out, I went home. I told my dad, give me 3 months to figure out what I need, because for a parent, it's too much to handle. She's jumping after one after the other.
You were probably too much to handle for your parents.
I don't deny, all credits to them. They managed quite well with me, And then after that, I think I started with my company, Just Shan Dance Dacha, way back in 2010. And it's going to be the 12th year now.
That is what you are today.
Touch wood. A lot of struggles to make your way through it.
I'm going to talk about struggles with both of you for a minute, because you both gave me the idea when you said that your dad was involved in your career decision making. And we all love our dads. But the society is still male dominated. And here you are, both achievers, both inspiring the young ladies who are going to watch, and everybody else. So tell us, what has changed or what needs to change in the society? Decision making for young ladies and going forward, young women and society.
I think it is very important for the lady, for the female also, to understand what does she want to achieve in her life. So that self-consciousness is, I think, that is most important. Firstly, that clarity has to be there कि आपको क्या करना है जीवन में, आपको ज़िंदगी में क्या चाहिए. सबसे पहली तो एक महिला होने के नाते मैंने भी ये महसूस किया. मैंने I have actually felt कि maybe during my college days, even during my school days, I was not clear. I was not at all clear. मैंने CS में इसलिए frankly admission लिया था because father is a chartered accountant and my sister was also doing CA. I have an elder sister. So वो फैमिली में ट्रेडिशन था, बिजनेस क्लास पे इस फैमिली है, कॉमर्स और अकाउंटेंसी थोड़ा वैसे भी हमारे ब्लड में कहा जाता है. तो वो उसको सोचते हुए मैंने सोचा ठीक है, ग्रेजुएशन मेरा अच्छे कॉलेज में एडमिशन हो गया था. आई वाज द फर्स्ट वन फ्रॉम माय स्कूल, DAV पब्लिक स्कूल दिल्ली पीतमपुरा, जिसका SRCC में सिलेक्शन हुआ, वहाँ पे मेरा एडमिशन हुआ. आई वाज डूइंग CS, आई वाज वेरी मच सेटल्ड. बट समहाउ दिस 2003-04 it shook me from inside. मुझे इसके बारे में पता लगा and this was a totally shift from the private sector or becoming a corporate professional, or for that matter it was not even sure कि मैं काम भी करूँगी या नहीं, क्योंकि you will also appreciate the fact, sir, that Haryana, India, it is not necessary that the woman has to work.
शादी करो.
So a female would be getting getting graduation, and then it is up to her and the parents कि वो कब उसका शादी करना है. Then it is up to the in-laws.
That's what
So
I wanted.
that was the reality that was also expected for me, and I was frankly, मैं उसके कभी against नहीं थी. I was also having that acceptance. But ये जो मैंने जो बात बोली, self consciousness, I think that is very much important, and आज के दिन में I think it is very much coming up in the society. Young girls, they are getting so much of exposure, they are getting opportunities, they are getting information at least कि ये हम कर सकते हैं. And then when the women thinks that yes, she wants to do this, it is also equally important for the societal ecosystem, for the society to also empower her in the sense to also support her, because we still don't have a society जिसमें everything is equally accessible for
That's
both.
right. Yeah.
So equal access of opportunities in terms of education, in terms of higher education, so as to say in terms of employment, that is still not there equally for both men and women. So it is also important for the society to support what she wants to do. And given a chance, women not only perform and show their resilience, they also outshine
Men,
in,
no doubt.
in many counts. We have seen women last year in Tokyo 2020 Olympics. 3 medals initially for India were bagged by women, were bagged by the female athletes. So just to, I think it is important for us to decide what do we want to do in our life, how do we achieve that, and also the parents, family, society, they also need to support her. I think
that's
most
very well
important.
expressed, Sonal. Really well said. We'll come back to you. Just what do you feel about it? You had your own struggles. You are in a field which is perhaps a little more entertainment oriented, fitness oriented, wellness oriented. Although Sonal and I, being from the service, ex-service, we also have that kind of bent. But you are fully into it. So what do you feel as a lady?
Frankly, I was never grown as a lady or a boy or a girl. It was a very individualistic approach to my way of bringing up, and I think I give that credit to my parents, because we never felt like that. But I can't talk about majority there with this kind of
your
facility
parents were
that
perhaps different.
Absolutely. But I suffered the choice. When I talked about being a dancer or doing MA in dance and all of that stuff, it was not well received. It was still said that you're such a nice and a bright child. Why would you like to go in such a field? Like, this is not for you. Like, look at you.
Comments which come to everybody.
Everybody. And I think I really appreciate that happened to me, because I became firmer. I wanted it so bad that I said, give me just some time to prove myself. And the problem is not the man or the woman. The problem is not owning yourself in the system. So, when we say make a good choice, you don't know who you are. So if you don't know who you are, you're just like a football. You've been thrown to one corner, and then you realize, oh no, this is not where I want to be. And again, you're thrown to the other corner. So I think the best part about this whole journey of struggles is how you optimize those struggles. How do you see through those struggles? And that aptitude is something that you need to nurture onto, because struggles won't end. Today also my struggles are no less. But it's the way I treat them. It's the way I have fun with them, and I know that I'm not stopping here. So that approach has to be built up. And I think today my parents are very proud of what choices I made, because I stood by it.
That's why this combination of the three of us is very good, because I think it's very good, because the motivation should be because the struggle, as you said, is still on.
Absolutely.
There is no smooth life.
Absolutely.
We can't have a totally smooth ups and downs that are part of it. And all those youngsters who think they're in their teens today that we'll have a bed of roses, not possible.
If you allow me, I'll add something. Now we are in the more turbulent area.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's so much of it, like Madam said, it's plethora of information. So we have gone confused to some other level, and now to make a choice, it's not easy.
I think you can call her Sonal. I'm also calling her.
That's why that clarity is more important.
It's more important. But let's come to your career now.
Yeah.
You started off as an IAS officer, also became deputy commissioner later. So many things happened in life.
Yes.
And these things are a part of the service.
Yes.
And also as a young lady SDM and later DC, there must be people looking at you that what is this, what is that, and how will we do this? So tell us about your stories from the service.
Sir, so my cadre being Tripura, I joined there in 2009, and as you know, first posting was as assistant collector in West Tripura district. Then my first independent posting was as SDM Ambasa in Dhalai district in Tripura. It was a predominantly tribal dominated district, and we had village committees. So in Tripura we have the Gram Panchayat areas as well as the village committee areas, which are under the Autonomous District Council. We term them as ADCs. So when I started moving in field, frankly till that date, so I am talking way back in 2010, Tripura had not seen many women officers.
Right.
Because there was also policy in for some time in government by DOPT that there were not many officers, lady officers were being posted in the northeast states. There was some policy for few years. So for me, of course, it was altogether a different terrain. I had always stayed in Delhi, Haryana, so this part of the northern part of the country. Different language, Bengali is predominantly spoken there, different culture, different food habits. And when I mentioned to them that I am from Delhi, Haryana, so they would imagine that maybe I am from Hindu. Uni to Hindu lok.
Okay.
So they would term like this, ki they are from India. So that sense was there actually. But once you start adjusting yourself, once you start connecting with the people, you ultimately gain your own ground and you are able to connect with them. And that is how I have been able to work in different parts of Tripura. In my first posting itself, sir, there were various village committees, jisme ki you had to walk down 8 to 10 kilometers on foot, and then you can reach that habitation in which even if 200 to 50 people are staying there, but that is part of your subdivision. So I started having my administrative camps on those locations only. So starting early morning, 5 o'clock, sun rises there very early as compared to this part of the country. 5:30 we used to start, reach there by say 7:30, and then have your entire day spent, interact with the local people, tribals, and उसमें benefit एक ये हुआ कि हमारे जितने भी line departments थे, including health, education, and the Anganwadi department, social welfare, education, agriculture, animal husbandry, these all departments were also present. So this was a kind of a monitoring mechanism which was established, and there were 7 village committees I would like to mention, जिसमें कि these services were quite neglected. In the sense we didn't had a good facility for these people to stay. So I tried to tie up with the BSF outposts. There were BOPs because Tripura is the state in the country which has longest border with Bangladesh.
Right.
It has the longest border with Bangladesh. So we went there. I communicated with the BSF officers who were posted there, and they helped us to an extent that they allowed these officers to stay there on a say 5-day a week or 6-day a week. So these officers were going there on Monday, stay there for 5 days, 6 days, come back and then go again. So school, Anganwadi center, the primary health center, all these services were revived. This was in my first posting. And then I tried to experiment in other profiles also. As DM and collector, I was DM in Gomti district in Tripura. Around more than 2 years I was posted there. We had so many number of flagship programs, जिसमें कि it was owned by the people rather than we telling them कि हमको ये करना है. It was them that they were coming forward. So this was a chain which was continuing. And then when I came to Haryana, it was Haryana mein, even though I was there in Haryana, but work-wise it was a
very different.
You understand, you are going on a deputation, you don't know the officers don't know you. So that disconnect is there. So एक challenge मेरे लिए ये भी था कि मुझे interpersonal rapport establish करना था with the officers, with the administration, and also मेरी जो posting थी उसमें मुझे perform भी करना था, deliver भी करना था. So thankfully I think with support of my teams, because team के साथ में काम करना, as a leader उनको guide करना, ये मेरे हमेशा से ही कोशिश रहा है. And building those teams and connecting with the people, connecting with the community, whether it was Faridabad, in which we had Swachh Bharat Abhiyan as a flagship program. Faridabad also was felicitated by Ministry of Urban Development for the fastest moving city under the Swachh Sarvekshan 2017. After that, I was posted in Jhajjar as Deputy Commissioner. We undertook so many initiatives for women empowerment, for improving the health and nutrition in the district. Education में Saksham Haryana launch हुआ था. So many initiatives, and these I would just like to mention that ये सब जो काम हम जो करते हैं लोगों के लिए वो हम नहीं कर रहे हैं. I only feel that we are just a part of the system. The actual work is being done by the people who are in the area, people who are in the subdivision, people who are in the district. और जो वहाँ पे सर local officers हैं, जो line department के officers हैं, उनको अपने साथ रख के काम आप अच्छी तरीके से कर सकते हो. Because you are there for some time, but these departmental officers, they generally stay for a longer time.
Yeah.
And in organizations like corporations, like I was in Faridabad, after that I was in GMDA, and in Tripura also I was in Agartala Municipal Council. You have the entire cadre of these organizations, जिसमें ये लोगों का experience, इन लोगों का experience बहुत ज़्यादा रहेगा आपसे. You also need to learn from them. You also need to give them that capacity that yes, they need to execute.
Yeah.
Show them your trust and give them leverage to deliver. I think that is very much important.
That's very well said. In fact, you were outstanding, no doubt. You didn't say it, but DC Jhajjar, DC in Gomti, and other places, you did a great job, and you're still doing a great job.
Sir.
Just so, how did the dance dacha evolve? Where are you today? How is your work? What are you looking forward to?
So Dance Dacha was like my baby. I conceived it when I was, say, 12 years back, and I could just see that I could serve a bigger family than just being isolated into a small unit calling a family. And that experience has been very wholesome. It's I think on the field when you learn stuff is far better than being in an institution and trying to learn what others believe life can give you, you know. So Dance Dacha came in 2010. The name Dacha was given by my mom because I told her that I want to make a huge dancing happy family, and then this Russian name came in, which is like a second home.
Right.
And over a period of time, I think the first 4-5 years of the company, I don't remember what all I was doing because I was in that gusto, that kind of energy. I still miss it because there was something in me that was so driven that I didn't even realize that I'm working. Like every morning I used to just feel like, when is the sun coming out, when I'm going to be out, and what I'm going to do today. And you know, that vibe was so powerful. And over a period of time, of course, the challenges of working with male employees, a female in this industry, not looking like a hip hopper, not, you know, your way of clothing to your way of conduct, you know, in this industry, where I never wanted to be just known as a dancer. I wanted to use dancing as a tool of communication. It was like my first injection to meet a person, you know. That's how they open up in a way. They're very vulnerable, and the way I get into their lives was very fascinating for me. So over a period of time, you know, I started healing. I started doing my metaphysics studies, and all that, you know, the fitness modules, the AFA, the Reebok, the metabolic understanding and stuff. And I realized there's so much more to movement, you know. And something very integral happened in my life, which was losing my knees because of dancing.
You had a severe injury.
Very severe. Like I was on a stage that I had to crawl. I can't, you know, walk. And this is way back when I was in 11th in school. So I was very high on taking Coca-Cola. When I say Coke, I really minded like saying Coca-Cola, you know. And you know, it worked on my bones in a certain way, and I was aggressively dancing. So you know, there's no healing happening, there's no recovery time, and you're not consuming the right stuff.
Too much sugar.
Too much of sugar, and the bones became porous at that time. So when the knees happened, you know, that was the Veer Zara time, if you remember. So Sarojji came to our school to select the girls
Saroj
for
Khan.
Yes, and I was the leader in the school as like my troop. I'm the leader, right?
Excited ho gaye aap.
I was on the bed. You know, I could not audition for it, and I saw all my friends being taken, and I was like, that was the first blow of my life when I realized my body is my fame. And that understanding, I think, is phenomenal to understand. This is the channel to do anything that you want to achieve in life. You know, the value of your body cannot be compensated with anything, any money, any kind of luxury in your life. And that was the time I always remembered my mom saying, you don't express, you just dance. You know, whenever you're dancing, you just feel like the body is a different language, but there's nothing on your face.
Okay.
And I kept hearing it, but I didn't know what to do about it. Like, it just didn't, I just knew how to smile while I'm dancing. But there was nothing more added up to it, you know. But this time of my life, when I was on the bed, I think I've studied dancing in a very different spectrum. I understood dancing can also happen on a wheelchair. It can also happen by just lying on the bed and using your muscles and, you know, understanding what you need. And the best dancing I learned is here, when you don't stop the movement. If you stop movement, you are in a vicious circle where you don't want to grow.
It's about vibrations also.
Absolutely.
Like good vibes.
Goes unsaid today.
How you feel and how you express.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So there were phenomenal understandings. I think life has its own way to teach you. And I started respecting body like never before. And I recovered my knees through my dancing, which I take like a medal on my shoulder. The day that I didn't go out for surgery, I took my medication, I did my physio, and taking one turn in the bathroom successfully was such a high for me. Like, I'm coming back, I'm bouncing back in life and stuff like that. And that's how Dance Toucher has been 12 years down the lane. Beautiful memories, amazing stories, plethora of experiences that I have today. And I travel because of Dance Toucher around the world. So I think it's a very wholesome feeling.
No, great. And we have now
A
reached
true
the
entrepreneur.
true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We have reached the Sonal and Just of today now. We've been through life very quickly but very meaningfully. The kind of inputs that both of you have given have been very inspiring indeed.
Thanks.
Now, Sonal, today you have children, you have a husband who's in the service, you are Resident Commissioner of Tripura in Delhi, you are also a face on the social media at the same time. So this being an all-round person as an IAS officer, let us talk about that and how you influence lakhs of individuals, youngsters, and what is the message that you're giving. ये सारा कुछ एक ही आंसर में बताइए.
Sir, I think I have been doing what I have been loving. So I just do what I like and what drives my passion. So when we are talking about social media, कभी-कभी criticism भी मिलता है कि ये ऑफिसर्स इतना टाइम सोशल मीडिया पे लगाते हैं, ये ऑफिस में काम कब करते होंगे. सो आई जस्ट फील कि मेरा मीनिंगफुल कंट्रीब्यूशन किस चीज़ में है, व्हाट इज इट दैट इज एडिंग वैल्यू टू द पीपल around me, and of course people whom I may not meet any time in my life, right? So मेरे होने का एग्जिस्टेंस का, मेरी एग्जिस्टेंस का क्या पर्पस है?
Right.
ऑफिसर बनना एक पार्ट हुआ. मेरे को उस टाइम में ऑफिसर बनना था और मैं बन पाई विद द ब्लेसिंग्स ऑफ ऑलमाइटी, और वो भी एक ऑफिसर बन गई, वो एक पार्ट है. बट ऐसा नहीं है कि आप IAS ऑफिसर बन गए हो तो आप कुछ और नहीं कर सकते.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
There are, sir, still, you know, some nuances attached with you becoming an officer, being a lady IAS officer more so. And मैंने कोशिश किया कि मैं उन सब चीज़ों से बाहर निकलूं. And when I talk कि मैंने ये कैसे किया, I think I will not deny in saying that I have been fortunate of having a spouse like Aditya. He came into service much after our marriage. We know each other from 2003-04. We were together in during our graduation days. और उस टाइम में हमारा करियर पाथ दोनों का डिफरेंट था कि मैंने जब सोचा कि मैं सिविल्स में जाऊंगी, he had already started his job as a company secretary. He also did CS and then he also started doing law. और जब सिलेक्शन हुआ उसके बाद मैंने घर में बताया कि he is the one कि जिससे करनी है शादी. तो पहले तो वो और भी ये हुआ because of the different caste. और हमारी फैमिली में उस टाइम तक एक तो पहले मैं IAS बनी, वो एक ब्रेक किया बायस को या जो स्टीरियोटाइप था. उसके बाद मैं लव मैरिज के लिए खुद मैंने बोली बात,
वो ज़्यादा हो गया.
वो तो ये हुआ. मेरे फादर ने ये भी बोला कि अगर ये लड़की IAS नहीं बनती तो मैं सुनने ही नहीं वाला था. ये तो अब मेरी मजबूरी हो गई क्योंकि शी हैज प्रूव्ड कि उसका अपना एक स्टैंडिंग, उसने वर्थ अपना प्रूव किया है समाज के अंदर. तो ही इज अब ये सब चलता रहा. बट देन वी गॉट मैरिड इन 2009. आई जॉइन त्रिपुरा. More than 7 years we were separate. He was always in Delhi, I was always in Tripura. Meanwhile, I had my first child 2013 में. My daughter was born, Arna. एंड उस टाइम में आदित्य माई हस्बैंड वॉज अपेयरिंग फॉर सिविल सर्विसेज एंड इट वॉज ऑल्सो हिज ओन डिसीजन. मैंने नहीं कभी बोला फ्रेंकली, बट जब उन्होंने डिसीजन लिया तो आई ट्राई टू सपोर्ट हिम, क्योंकि ही वॉज ऑल्सो डूइंग हिज जॉब, सर्विस के साथ कर रहे थे, और ऐसे ऐसे करके सर हमारा जर्नी आगे बढ़ा. देन ही जॉइंड IRS कस्टम्स एक्साइज में, एंड आई वॉज इन त्रिपुरा ओनली. आई डिड माई पोस्टिंग्स. देन आई केम टू हरियाणा. 2019 में आवर सेकेंड चाइल्ड वॉज बॉर्न. आई वॉज ब्लेस्ड विद अ बेबी बॉय. एंड तब से लेके अब तक सोशल मीडिया पे जो मेरी प्रेजेंस रही है, या मेरी डिफरेंट कैपेसिटीज़ में मैं जितने भी लोगों से अटैच हुई हूँ, कम्युनिकेट किया है, it is only for the reason that I want to do something meaningful in my life. And I really feel happy कि अगर 100 बच्चे वो वेबिनार अटेंड कर रहे हैं, उसमें से अगर एक भी बच्चे को मेरी कोई भी बात अच्छी लगी और जिससे उसने इंस्पिरेशन ड्रॉ की हो, वो भी बहुत, तो आई थिंक दैट पर्पस इज सर्व. अगर मेरा 1 घंटा स्पेयर करने से अगर वो किसी एक को लाइफ में कुछ एक मोटिवेशन मिला या एक डायरेक्शन मिली कि वो भी ऐसा कर सकता है या कर सकती है, आई थिंक माई पर्पस इज अचीव्ड. एंड दैट इज़ द रीज़न वाई आई एम ट्राइंग टू कनेक्ट. सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू भी आई एम डूइंग लाइक लाइव कॉन्फ्रेंसेज, वेबिनार्स, अपने खुद के भी सेशंस रहते हैं. आई एम मेंटरिंग द UPSC सर्विस एस्पिरेंट्स ऑल्सो, अदरवाइज टॉकिंग ऑन मेनी एस्पेक्ट्स इंक्लूडिंग लाइफ. एंड लाइफ इज़ नॉट ओनली बिकमिंग अ डिग्री होल्डर. सिर्फ एक प्रोफेशनल बनना ही लाइफ में ज़रूरी नहीं है. इट यू नीड टू हैव दैट बैलेंस. और आपके फिजिकल और मेंटल हेल्थ, आपका स्टेट ऑफ माइंड, बीइंग हैप्पी, आई थिंक दैट इज़ ऑल वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसीलिए शायद सर मैं ये करती आ रही हूँ, और मैं आई विल ट्राई टू कीप ऑन इम्प्रोवाइजिंग इवन माई ओन सेल्फ.
In fact, you have done something which I would have wanted to do in service.
In service.
I resigned to do the same thing which you are doing now. But then in that era, the social media prevalence was not as much. Even 2017.
Yeah.
I was not even on Instagram.
I agree. Even मेरा accounts भी 18-19 में create किए हैं.
But then you had your baby also.
हाँ.
तो वो फिर आपका और celebrities की तरह मतलब वो फोटो आती थी बेबी के साथ मतलब?
नहीं, मैं ज़्यादा नहीं, अपनी फैमिली के साथ मैं बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं डालती हूँ. उस टाइम में भी इतना नहीं था. मैं फ्रैंकली लास्ट 2 साल जो कोविड के गए हैं, जो डिजिटल इंटरफेस हमारा बढ़ा है, आई थिंक दैट हैज गिवन ऑल ऑफ अस अ बूस्ट इन द सेंस दैट वी हैव यूटिलाइज्ड दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी to connect to
You're
the
right,
people.
absolutely right. Absolutely. Just you are also today a motivator, a speaker, an influencer, a life coach. So you've also evolved. We're all evolving, right?
Absolutely.
Tomorrow we don't know, we can be confused. But where are you today and what is your message for the youngsters?
See, I'm an explorer, and I would never like to be out of that zone of exploration, because as a human, I don't think we give enough time to ourselves to go out and see what we were meant for. You know, we are always looking at what's the most convenient option available. Okay, if I get fame through dancing, let me become a dancer. If I get fame through speaking, okay, let me become a speaker. But you don't understand, like, this is from my life experience that I'm talking about, whatever experience I have. Dancing was my passion, you know, so I went full gusto into it. And that energy was beyond measure, you know, that I had. But it's not that I was only meant to dance. I had a lot of skills. I had today, if people say you are a good entrepreneur or you have the leadership skills and stuff, I was never made introduced to these aspects of my life until and unless I went out, I did it, I experienced it, and I came back. I failed so many times. I learned so many times. I think the first sleepless night was when my small team of 3, one ditched. And I felt like the same pain as you would feel a love going out of your life, right?
Out of 3, 1 is gone, then
it was killing, because it was like my baby and my family. How could you move out of it and stuff? So I think today when I see we have a lot of exposure, we are extremely overburdened with education, information, and all of that stuff, and we have lost the touch of our inner being. You know, that naughtiness that you have, just to go and do it and just feel it. I think the first time I went for my solo trip in 2012, I realized, oh, there's a life out of my home. There's a life out of my work. I am somebody, you know, I belong to me. That first realization was so powerful that I could not stop traveling around, you know.
And you're very lucky you can still go solo. She can't go, I can't go.
I never have had any solo trip in my life.
I would count it as a huge blessing on me, because
I know. I think it's good to have this blessing for a while.
I would say everybody, even if you're married, create a space for yourself where you go, connect with yourself, and come back to the relationship, because the relationship stinks. if you don't go out, and like Matt, what kind of career she is having today, she can be in Chandigarh, tomorrow she can be in Delhi. At least she gets that me time.
Today she's in Delhi actually, but anyway,
Again,
she's flown to Chandigarh.
Yeah.
But you're right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But all three of us are today in that very public era where everybody's watching.
Yes.
And everybody is getting influenced by someone who is a little bit successful. So they watch you. After your talk, they want to come and take pictures with you.
Yes.
In Jhajjar, you must have noticed people wanting to take pictures
Selfies.
as DC, a selfie. Even I was in 2015 DC Panchkula, and it had
Right.
just started getting a little more. So this very public era is something where you need to be always on.
That's
You
true.
cannot allow your guard to slip.
Yeah.
You cannot be playing like some people may be going wild and crazy at the same time as being public figures.
Yeah.
Footballers, perhaps others. So how do we maintain that balance in life? Now let's talk about that message also, because we're coming towards the end. That balanced personality. How do you do it, Sonal, and how do you do it, Just? And if you want to add some anecdote from your life, Just, you can think till then. Wo bhi kar do, saath. Go ahead.
Maybe if you are, sir, asking about the anecdote, so of course everybody has interesting experiences in life. When I was preparing na, so I was very selfish. जो आज हम टर्म यूज़ करते हैं ना, क्वारंटीन, आई हैड क्वारंटीन्ड माई सेल्फ इन माई घर के फर्स्ट फ्लोर पे, एंड स्लोली, मतलब पहले मैंने एक रूम को कब्जा किया, देन इट स्प्रेड आउट टू दी अदर रूम्स ऑल्सो, तो द एंटायर फ्लोर
You were a grabber.
काइंड ऑफ, बिकॉज ऑफ द बुक्स ऑफ यूपीएससी,
Space
and
चाहिए.
you also need space to move around एक कमरे में, you get. So जब मैं just to कंटिन्यू दैट, जब घर में जैसे कोई रिलेटिव्स आ रहे हैं, 2-3 साल जब आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, यू आर ऑलमोस्ट कट ऑफ ना, तो वो इस तरीके से सरकाज़म मिलता था, स्पेशली मेरे फादर को, कि ये अपनी बेटियों को पता नहीं इतना पढ़ा के क्या बनाएंगे, अभी तो ग्रेजुएशन हो गई, शादी वादी करके सेटल कर देना चाहिए. तो मेरे
That's the
फादर
attitude
बोलते
they have.
थे, या तो हरियाणा, दिल्ली, मतलब
पूरे इंडिया में ऐसे ही होता है.
सोसाइटी, हाँ. तो पापा बोलते थे कि लड़कियों को एजुकेशन तो देना सबका हमारा फ़र्ज़ है, इसके आगे ये क्या करेंगी ये उनके ऊपर है, लेट देम डिसाइड देयर ओन लाइफ. तो जब सिलेक्शन हुआ, दे वर द पीपल हु कॉल्ड एंड कॉन्ग्रेचुलेटेड, कि हमें तो पता ही था कि सिलेक्शन तो हो गई, तो बहुत ही होशियार है, शुरू से इंटेलिजेंट रही है, तो वो तो हमें पता ही था कि सिलेक्शन होगा. एंड देन दे वुड इनवाइट, दे वर इनवाइटिंग, हमारे घर पे आना है एंड विल ऑर्गेनाइज सम फेलिसिटेशन. तो ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है.
ऐसा होता है.
और मैं बीइंग अ फीमेल ऑफिसर, आई कैन शेयर, त्रिपुरा में हो या हरियाणा में हो, इमीडिएटली आपको एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हैं लोग. यू हैव टू कीप प्रूविंग योर ओन क्रेडिबिलिटी,
A little more than the men.
मोर. एक ना एक एप्रीहेंसिव एनवायरनमेंट रहता है आपके आसपास में, कि आप क्या उतना कर पाओगे, क्या आप लेट नाइट ऑफिस में बैठोगे, क्या आप लेट इवनिंग्स में मीटिंग शेड्यूल करके या फील्ड विजिट में जाना पड़ गया तो आप क्या कर पाओगे. आई रिमेंबर त्रिपुरा में इनिशियली जब मैंने स्टार्ट किया मूव करना, दे वुड नॉट रेडिली एक्सेप्ट दैट शी इज़ द ऑफिसर, यही डीसी मैडम है. और हरियाणा में भी यही. एक बार मेरे को याद है सर, एक गांव में गई थी झज्जर में, तो वहाँ पे एक प्रोग्राम था नारी के चौपाल का, तो मैं जैसे गाड़ी से उतरी तो बहुत लोग इकट्ठा थे, उनको नहीं पता होगा डीसी फर्स्ट टाइम मैं जा रही थी, तो आई गॉट आउट ऑफ द कार, तो वो आंटीज खड़ी थी, तो
like
उन्होंने
that,
बोला कि
aunties खड़ी थी.
उन्होंने बोला कि यही छोरी डीसी है के. तो मैंने बोला हाँ जी मैं ही डीसी हूँ, और जैसे मैं डीसी बन सकती हूँ, आपकी जो पोती साथ में खड़ी
भी बन
है
सकती है.
उसको भी आप डीसी बनाओ, इतना पढ़ाना है इसको.
They must have been like
तो-
taken aback.
तो फिर सबने इतना स्वागत किया. तो ये सर लाइफ के एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, चलते रहेंगे. सो माई मैसेज टू द यंगर पीपल, माई मैसेज टू द यूथ, वट एवर यू डू इट विथ पैशन, एंड वी ऑल शुड नेवर फॉरगेट दैट वी ओ आवरसेल्व्स टू द सोसाइटी. आप जो भी काम कर रहे हो उसमें आप इस समाज के लिए, इस देश के लिए क्या कर रहे हो, क्या कर सकते हो, वो हमेशा हमारे बैक ऑफ द माइंड में रहना चाहिए. एंड वी ऑल शुड कंट्रीब्यूट टू आवर सोसाइटी एंड नेशन बिल्डिंग. आई थिंक दैट इज़ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. एंड स्टेइंग हेल्दी, हैप्पी, जैसा कि जस्ट जी ने भी बोला कि वी आर ऑल एक्सप्लोरर्स, सो कीप reinventing yourself, keep reinforcing what you feel is right, उसको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना है और खुश रहना है। सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट बात क्या है कि आपको खुशी किस चीज़ में मिल रही है, ये नहीं कि किसी को थप्पड़ मार के खुशी मिल रही है, बट यस ऑफ कोर्स विच इज़ harmless to other people and which is helping you drive yourself and excel in life. That purpose you should identify and keep moving forward.
Very well said. In fact, I'm enjoying this because जो बातें मैं normally बोलता हूँ वो आप बोल चुके हो. So I don't need to say anything more. Wonderfully well said. Just आपको इन्होंने just जी बोला वो कैसा लगा और आगे बताइए.
थोड़ा सा बट एक IAS ऑफिसर से आता थोड़ा मजे ले लिया हमने भी.
पहली मुलाकात
प्राइवेट सेक्टर में you address by the first name, but in government में ना आदत पड़ जाती है कि मैडम सर या इवन कोई अगर कलीग भी होंगे तो विल मतलब थोड़ा
बड़ी मुश्किल से छूटी है ये वाली आदत, बड़ी मुश्किल।
अभी तक सर हम सिस्टम में ही है ना शायद इसलिए छूटी नहीं है।
हाँ जी।
Closing remarks and anecdote.
So I think for me it's very important, if I can communicate this, that live your life in a way that you don't leave your sink. It's very important, and sink is always reinvented, can never be the same. जो आज अच्छा लगता है वो जिंदगी भर अच्छा लगे ज़रूरी नहीं है, और अगर आप सोचते हो कि जब अच्छा नहीं लगेगा हम उसमें से निकल जाएंगे तो वो भी पॉसिबल नहीं है. You know, so you need to see, you need to optimize every life situation in a way that you can find the better part of it, in a way that you feel motivated to contribute. Mind body soul connection is phenomenal, and I think we are the best police for ourselves. You know when you're off sync, you know it, but we don't allow ourselves to think over it. We don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and that's where we stop our growth. Which is very important in our metaphysics. We can even identify if you have an ankle problem or you have a knee issue, where is it coming from, which side of your brain.
Right.
So if you are interested in your life, I would just say, if you're interested and you're keen to know why you are alive in this birth, I think it's time that you connect the chords. You connect the chords because you can't serve anybody. You can't serve your husband, you can't serve your boyfriend, you can't serve your child, you can't serve the nation at the large until unless you know how to serve yourself. So
well said.
You need to fetch what keeps you, in that thriving mode all the time. And once you are in that zone of your life, you won't even realize one statement of yours would have an impact. One movement, I hear so many times when people come, which goes negative with my work, is just when we see watching you dance, we can't just get our eyes off you. So for so many years I wanted to see myself the same way they see me, because I never had an opportunity to watch myself. And then I realized that I'm so immersed in that moment of movement that my eyes, my body, my thought process, everything is in so much of sync that it's alien for somebody to see.
That's what it's about, being immersed in your work and your life.
Absolutely.
and your energy
Absolutely.
shines through, which is what is shining through in this particular episode. The vibrations, the energy, the goodness,
Absolutely.
which I can see. And what a great episode and chat we've had. Thank you, Sonal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. And
Thank you for
Kudos
having
to you
us.
for having such a platform
most welcome.
in which we all can express.
And where we talk about good vibes finally.
Yeah.
Freely and without any fear.